What if God gave you a mission and you ran the other way? This is the story of Jonah, a powerful tale found in the Old Testament book of Jonah. He was a prophet who was sent by God to warn the powerful, evil city of Nineveh. But Jonah hated Nineveh, so he fled in the opposite direction, trying to escape God's call. So God spoke to the prophet Jonah, saying, "Go to the great city of Nineveh and cry out against its wickedness." To understand Jonah's reaction, you must understand Nineveh. This wasn't just any city, it was the capital of the brutal Assyrian Empire. They were a ruthless enemy of Jonah's people, and the thought of God extending mercy to them was deeply offensive to him. So Jonah made a conscious choice. He chose hatred over obedience. He found a ship heading for Tarshish, the very edge of the known world, and paid his fare. He was determined to put as much distance as possible between himself and God's difficult command. In the sea, the ship that Jonah had boarded encountered a storm. The storm was unlike anything the seasoned sailors had ever seen. Terrified, they cried out to their own gods, but to no avail. The ship was on the verge of breaking apart. As the crew cast lots to discover who was responsible for this calamity, the lot fell squarely on Jonah. Cornered, Jonah confessed. He was a Hebrew, running from the God who made the very sea that was now raging against them. Jonah gave them the only solution: "Pick me up and throw me into the sea, and the sea will become calm for you." With that, they cast him overboard, and the furious storm instantly ceased. The storm may have ceased, but for Jonah, the journey was far from over. Plunged into the cold, dark depths, he was swallowed whole by a massive fish. Trapped inside this living prison, Jonah was completely alone. In the belly of the fish, at the bottom of the sea, he found himself at the absolute end. It was here in the darkness that he finally surrendered and turned to God with a prayer of repentance. For 3 days and 3 nights, he prayed, acknowledging his foolishness and thanking God for his mercy. And then God commanded the fish, and it spit Jonah out onto dry land in Nineveh, the very city God had sent him to. God gave him a miraculous second chance. With a newfound resolve, Jonah set out again. This time, he was obedient. He traveled to the massive city of Nineveh and walked its streets, crying out the message God had given him. The reaction was unbelievable. From the king on his throne to the poorest citizen, the entire city repented. This act of faith saved the entire city from destruction. But the story doesn't end there. Jonah was furious. He wanted to see his enemies destroyed, not forgiven. Through a simple plant that grew and withered overnight, God showed Jonah the true meaning of compassion. The story of Jonah is a timeless lesson. It reminds us that no one is beyond the reach of God's mercy. It's a story about second chances, not just for Nineveh, but for a flawed prophet who chose hatred over obedience. It's a story that challenges us to look past our own prejudices and embrace a compassion as boundless as God's own. Subscribe and follow us to stay on the loop for the next stories.